In today's video, we're going to talk about scanning for high short interest and how to use that information to find likely short squeeze candidates. We'll go through a full process, taking lists from places like the IBD 50 all the way down to our actual thinkorswim scan results, and we'll use that to look for clues with both high short interest along with other factors of places where we may have a potential short squeeze. So stay tuned. I hope you get some good information out of today's video. Let's start by first understanding the double-edged sword that is associated with a high short interest percentage number. And to understand both sides of this sword, we need to first understand each interpretation. Right, so our first interpretation is a bearish interpretation, and that's where the shorts are actually right. So there's a good amount of short interest in this actual stock. A lot of people believe that it's going to go down, and the stock may actually be weak, where this is sort of that obvious conclusion that you come to that, hey, you would expect bearish price action to follow a high short interest percentage number. Now, on the other side of that is the more contrarian view, where you're starting to try and use this to find more of the counterintuitive opportunities. And this is where, despite having a high short interest percentage number, you're still expecting the stock to move up in a bullish direction, leading to what is called a short squeeze. This is where there's already capital coming into the actual stock. Shorts are now getting stopped out of their short positions, admitting that they're wrong, which is leading to the price just climbing higher and higher. Right? And so these are the two different perspectives that you have. The question then starts to really become, well, how do we start to use the short interest percentage number in our favor to try and construct some trades? And in this video, we'll go through some of those opportunities and take you through how you can try and decipher and use some sort of clues to gather whether or not it's more likely to be a bearish move or more likely to be a bullish move. So to help make this process much more streamlined and efficient, we've launched our new short interest scanner, which is free for all of our stock volatility box members. You can access it today by clicking the short interest button in the dashboard, which will then take you to the actual scanner page. And I'll talk about the scanner page more in the live version, but just to give you an overview here, you can use things like our list that we've curated, which are the index lists, to try and find some of these high short interest percentage opportunities. You can sort this actual table, so now you can short in terms of high short interest or conversely low short interest. Or you can create your own list of up to 100 stocks, and that then populates the table with your own custom list. So we'll show you all of this live in an example right now. And the two lists that we're going to take a look at are specifically around the IBD 50, which is the first one we'll take a look at. And here we'll take a list of 50 stocks, plug them into the scanner, and see just how quickly we have all of our short interest data that you can also track over time if you're a data geek and you enjoy these sorts of things. And then the second list that we'll take a look at is our bullish squeeze signals candidate. And this is taking the scan results from a thinkorswim scan, a bullish thinkorswim scan, and then plugging that directly into our scanner and seeing, well, do we have any high short interest opportunities here, something that looks interesting. And then we'll go on and we'll look at some other contextual factors, things like insider selling, what the charts look like to see if there's any opportunities between these two lists. And again, just remember, what I hope to demonstrate from this is short interest is just one dimension of this analysis. It's a powerful dimension, and you'll see how our scanner helps you really speed up the process, but it is just one dimension, and it should be one facet of your entire analysis process. All right, so let's start by first exploring the short interest tab, and then we'll jump into the IBD 50 ETF and then go from there. So for all of our stock volatility box members inside the platform, click short interest, and this should then take you to our entire short interest page. So let's say first, just as an example, you wanted to start with the Dow 30 list, right? You could then start here, click Dow 30, sort by short interest percentage number, and you can see that the highest short interest inside of the Dow right now is in Boeing. Just like that, you can alternate between the NASDAQ, the S&P, the Russell, so on and so forth. Now let's say that you want to plug in your own list. So that's where we'll start with our IBD 50 list here. So using Zacks.com, I have the ETF and the holdings that I've then separated into a comma separated list, which I have pasted in the description box below. But if we come back to our short interest page, let me pull up that list. Here we'll copy paste this entire list, and we'll come into our symbols, we'll paste in the entire list, and we'll click search. So now you should notice that this table is updated. It's currently sorted by alphabetical order with all of the stocks from our IBD 50 list, and we can sort now just by short interest percentage number to see where are there some interesting opportunities. So now to keep things simple, we'll focus on just the top 3 results here, but on your own time, you can start to dig deeper for as many or as few of these as you'd like. Right, so in our top 3 here, we have PETS, we have GSX, and we have TTD. So we'll focus on these three symbols and push them into the next part of our analysis. So to again keep things in as much of a systematic, process-driven method as we can, we'll make the next part of our analysis looking at insider selling. That's just something that we've been looking at recently, and it works well to give you an inclination of, hey, is it more likely to be bearish or bullish, especially if you start to see some key insiders selling recently in some of these stocks that have high short interest. Right, so for that information, we can come to CML here. We'll start with, say, PETS. So if we load in PETS, and then we'll navigate to the insiders page right here. And if we come down, we can notice that we have a lot of selling activity in the recent history, and all that selling activity is actually by some key individuals: the CEO and the president, the CFO, the CEO and the president, the CFO, the CEO and the president, and again the CFO multiple times since February of 2020, and then before then we also see the last one was a director. So really this started as of the recent downfall. We had some key individuals in PETS starting to unload their shares, which to me is about as bearish of a sign as you can get, that outweighs some of the technicals that you would see on your chart. So mentally, without even going to charts, PETS would be something that I would attribute more towards the bearish side between the two double-edged sword ideas we had. The next one we had was GSX. So now let's go to GSX here. And you can see just how quickly this process can be, right? And it can be something you do every Sunday, whatnot. So we don't have any GSX data because it's an ADR, so we can skip it. And then we'll go to TTD. And so if we come to TTD here, in the case of TTD, if we scroll down, we see recently we have a lot of grants, but this is also May data where we have the president and the CEO taking some profits. So that's, again, an interesting sign. So now in two places, we've had some key noteworthy individuals where we have high short interest percentage number. We have some leaders of the company starting to sell their shares, and a good chunk of these shares too, and that's fairly recently, right? This is 518 all the way to 520, which is just a couple weeks ago. So I would say that that's, again, information to put this to put TTD towards the bearish side, or at least there's not a lot of belief in terms of that bullish short squeeze scenario, right? I wouldn't feel all that comfortable trying to bet on a short squeeze opportunity when the CEO and president of the very company that you're betting in has started to sell or unload his shares. That's not necessarily a positive sign. You can obviously go in and dig deeper on their financials here to see the reasoning for why each of these sells are happening. This on its face value doesn't necessarily bode well. So we have TTD and PETS that we've both attributed on the bearish side. Now let's come into our scans here, and we'll use our squeeze signal scan. And you can use your own set of scans if you'd like, but I'm just using squeeze signals because that's the same thing that gave us that opportunity in Cloudflare. So this is also very interesting. Here we have TTD, CHWY, Domino's, THS, and MKTX. So now let's plug these back into our short interest scanner. So if we come back in here, we'll keep PETS and we'll keep TTD on there, and we'll also add CHWY, DPZ, THS, and then MKTX. Now we can start to look at this data a little bit more. So let's sort by percentage number. So we can automatically rule out MKTX as a place where you can find a short squeeze candidate. You may see something else, but decrease in short interest there. DPZ, same thing, low short interest numbers. So our top three here, again, we have PETS and CHWY. So now you have two opportunities in that pet food industry. So let's take a look at CHWY to see if we have the same insider selling in CHWY as we did in PETS. In the case of CHWY, we see that the CEO here is also selling his shares, and that's fairly recent, right? That's as of May 11th. And then we also see he sold some, or someone else sold some. The CFO sold some on January 1st, or January 13th, excuse me. But in both cases, we see a good amount of selling in the recent history. So that doesn't bode well. So now we have two pet food places that have hit our bullish scanners, in which we see a lot of insider selling and a good amount of high short interest percentage, where we've really attributed that now towards, say, the bear scenario. And then if we come back to our short interest table, THS, we had 6.26 percentage. DPZ, low numbers, right? So if you're looking for just a nice safe bet, grind up higher, maybe something where you can even use options in your favor, DPZ is that opportunity. In the case of something like CHWY and PETS, let's come to our options chain here and see what that looks like, because now I'm curious. With two stocks in the same industry with high short interest, with their leadership selling stocks. So now if we take a look at the options chain, good amount of call volume compared to the put volume, and even our calls to put ratio for Friday's activity in CHWY, that's close to a 4-to-1. And if we go to PETS, PETS a little bit less, 247 to 34. PETS is clearly the less liquid one in terms of we don't have weeklies, but we do see a good amount of volume as well. Again, a lot more on the call side, a little bit less on the put side, but something here that might be interesting for those of you that say, okay, let's now go to the actual charts of PETS. And I'm going to purposely not layer on any indicators here to avoid indicator bias. But looking at PETS, if say you want to bet on the stock moving in one direction or the other, given what we know, but we don't necessarily want to make a directional bet, you could do something like the straddle, knowing that our IV percentile is at 33%, or you can even do some sort of a cross play between each of these two stocks with bullish one, bearish one if you were trying to hedge your position. Unfortunately, we don't have that IV data here, but if you look at the IV of each option chain, you'll see that CHWY is much, much higher than something like PETS, where we had 64, 70% IV compared to CHWY, which has closer to 90, 93, 99% IV. So that's where if you are into the Greeks, you can start to use Vega in your position. CHWY clearly looks much more bullish than PETS here. And so PETS may be something that out of the two you're willing to say go a little bit more short on and then buy a call on CHWY to try and hedge that position. Either way, if you do get that short squeeze opportunity, again, that famous quote comes in, the market can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So just because we see insiders selling, all of that doesn't necessarily mean one direction or the other. We're just trying to make the best educated guess that we can. But hopefully in this entire presentation, what you've seen is we started with a list of our IBD 50. We also used just a generic scan that we have, which is our squeeze signal scan. But conversely, you could use the market pulse scan, your V-score scan, whatever other scans, your own personal scans, your own list of stocks, stocks that other folks from your other services may be following, plug them into the short interest scanner and start to get this information, go to the charts, go to the insider selling, and really start to make some educated decisions in terms of not only finding trade opportunities, but also managing your existing portfolio and being aware of when short interest percentage is rising. So for all of our members, this page is now live. Would love to hear not only your feedback, but also some of the trade opportunities that you're able to find as you use our new short interest scanner. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good luck trading this week, and we'll see you in the next episode.